Welcome, one and all, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour, live from the Real Talk Studios right here in Mountie from New Jersey. And we are live on A2DRadio.com, brought to you by Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. I am Matt Tsutsuti, along with the Penguin lover himself, Michael Klankoff. Over there is the Dark Wing, Brian Daly, sporting his absolutely awesome-looking Anaheim Ducks jersey.
Getting a lot of love already on the Facebook.
Nice. And behind the board is the one that we can truly see the signs of, the sign guy himself, Mr. Ryan Brodo.
Hello.
We expect a better job this week than last week.
I'm trying. It's my second week.
Hey, it's all right. It's all right. Everybody has a tough first day. Gets better from there.
I'm just a boy.
Hey, this is a trial to becoming a man.
Sure looks like one.
Take it seriously.
Hey, they can't see what I look like.
Oh, all they got to do is tune in on Wednesday on The Fix,
Yeah,
and they
just
know
listen to The
everything they need to
Fix.
know. Yeah.
Thanks for the plug.
We got you.
Bang, bang. Anyway.
We're a team, all right? We're
Yeah,
a team.
absolutely. All right. So, unfortunately, trying to throw out some humor to cover up the pain that I am currently in, as again, the Flyers have managed to just absolutely shit the bed once again in a matchup. This time against the Boston Bruins, where they got shut out 3-0. The Bruins have continued their winning ways, if you will. The Flyers are now 2 games below 500. They've strung together 2 straight losses on 2 different occasions and have yet to string 2 straight victories together. Every time, it seems like this team is finally putting the shit back together. You take a tough loss, actually, if anything, an abysmal loss, against a team like Columbus that you were doing so well against until the third period, and then you absolutely just shit the bed and lose in Nationwide Arena. Unfortunately, that trend of us doing terrible out in Columbus continues. And you return to Philly afternoon matinee, a Saturday showdown, as they like to call it, and you beat the New Jersey Devils in a fiery game, and a game that truly would, if anything, could wake you the fuck up and make you realize, hey, we're the fucking Flyers. Let's play some fucking hockey and let's get this shit over with. No. You know what they responded with? They responded with yet another catastrophe on their hands by losing 4-1 to the Colorado Avalanche. And then they add to another part of that by losing 3-0 in Boston. It's like, the fuck, guys? Like, seriously. Like, what is it about you guys that just refuses to realize how terrible you're playing on the ice, and you don't translate it and you don't correlate it to fixing the problems that you currently have? It's like every single time they go through the same song and dance. We take a bad loss, or we get absolutely embarrassed, either on enemy ice or our ice, and we respond with a big win. And then we top ourselves by once again taking another abysmal loss and another embarrassing loss, and then put another win on the record. It's like, what the fuck? How many times do you have to learn this lesson? How many fucking times?
It goes back to what you were saying last week. It's inconsistent play, offensively, defensively, and in goaltending. Defense, they're lacking that veteran leader that they need. You touched on that last week. Tonight, I thought defense played fairly solid. They did a good job protecting Elliott. Elliott had a couple goals he probably shouldn't have let in. One was a deflection. There's not much you can do about those, but, you know, the offense wasn't there tonight. Couldn't tell you what happened in Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, well,
That was just a collapse.
Philadelphia actually outshot Boston tonight, which is the crazy thing. But the thing is, 2 for 5 on a penalty kill. Excuse me, 3 for 5 because Boston was 2 for 5 on a power play. So only 60% on the kill tonight, which is not good at all. That's a D. You're just above failure. So
Yeah.
That's, again, this was a concern last season and seems like it's becoming a concern again for them this season. So, I mean, everything was there, but you can't take 26 penalty minutes against Boston. I'm sorry, but you can't do that.
Well, you can't do that against any team,
No.
really. It doesn't really matter what team it is. You could even do it against Ottawa, and they'll still make you pay for it at the end of the day.
Yeah, Scott Lawton ends up getting a game misconduct, too, which doesn't help the team. You know, in that string of 4 minutes in the third period, the Flyers took 16 penalty minutes.
Well,
So,
and-
including a game misconduct, which
Yeah.
is automatic.
Yeah, things
2 and
got
10.
a little feisty in that final
And-
5 or 6 minutes there.
Yeah, but the worst part of it is that, like, on top of all that, it is, again, the consistent trend of we are going to win one game to kind of say, hey, we still have life. Don't
We're
give
still
up.
a team.
Yeah, don't give up hope. We're still got this. And then you shit the bed once again. The only reason you even have 3 wins is because you woke the fuck up and you realized how much of an error it was to be losing to the New Jersey Devils 1-0, because really they were playing fine against the Devils. They went toe-to-toe with
Yeah,
them
I
the
mean,
entire game, and then they won the game. Okay, great. You guys did a wonderful job handling your business. You did great against Las Vegas, and then you do abysmal, but just by sheer dumb luck in the shootout, you walk away with a win against Florida, which was a winless team, by the way, going into the Wells Fargo Center. And you pull a win out of the skin of your teeth against Ottawa in Ottawa. So it's like all 4 wins, only 2 of them were convincing wins. The other 2 were just pure, sheer dumb luck. One, because the one team isn't deep enough, which is Ottawa. The other one, because Florida has had the worst string of luck you could possibly have for the start of the season for them. And it's like, what the fuck? You know, like, you guys should have been able to crush a team like Florida that was winless coming into your building. You should have been able to at least comfortably beat Ottawa. And yeah, Ottawa's playing okay right now. How long is that going to fucking last? You should still be able to go into their building and say, you know what, they might give us a fight, but we should be able to handle them. You didn't handle them. You barely beat them. The only teams you've handled are the Devils and the Golden Knights. That's it. You haven't proved a damn thing to me against anybody else. Everybody else you've played abysmally against.
Yeah.
And you should be fucking ashamed of yourself, even with 4 wins.
Yeah, the team just doesn't look right now, you know. And again, we talked about this early last season too, where it was like, you know, again, Philadelphia as a city, as soon as the team starts to go down, they're headhunting the coach. And, you know, one of the teachers that are at the school that I work in, you know, was starting to say that. He's like, you know, once we get rid of the coach, we'll be a different team.
All right. Okay, great transition.
I'm just
Hold
bringing
on.
it up. I'm
Pause,
just saying
pause,
it's just a Philly thing, right, Brodo?
It is a Philly thing.
It is a Philly thing.
Wait, before Brodo gets involved. Hold on.
Brett Brown was about to get his head cut off. Jim Schwartz is ready to get his head cut off. You know,
Jim Schwartz, you can actually
he
legitimately
can't play
blame
defense. He's not out there on the
No,
field.
but he's the one calling the plays.
He's calling run plays too.
No,
I'm just
running
saying.
has nothing to do with the
It
fact
does-
they gave up a 17-0 lead.
I mean, play call, right? It coulda
Okay.
killed more
You go
time.
into
I'm
a
just saying.
prevent defense, right? The last 3 drives, it doesn't
I'm
work
just
the
saying.
first 2 times. So what are you going to do? Oh,
just
let's go
saying.
for it a third time because it worked so well the first 2.
All right.
Jim
Maddie,
Schwartz is the one to blame.
Maddie,
I mean, if it worked two out of 2 times, I'd do it a third time too.
Right, so you're playing a prevent defense.
I'm just saying.
It fails twice.
just
You're gonna
saying.
stick. You're gonna still stick with it. I don't get it.
Matthew, for the respect of you, I will stay out of this.
Got you.
Kapler too. Excuse me. I
Well,
forgot.
Well,
He's just an idiot.
Let's just talk about, since we brought up coaches, let's talk about the Twitter poll, because the Twitter poll pretty much comes up with the recent struggles that the Flyers have been in early on in this season, particularly with defense, and just the really shabby play they've had. What is the main contributing factor? One of the options was A, bad coaching. We can address that right now. Honestly, I can't really say it's bad coaching because, and people will go out there and say, like, oh, well, he's not, for the argument of, well, he never gets too emotional behind the bench. Well, you got nothing to say now because I've seen Hackstall literally about ready to rip one of the fucking refs' heads off. And by the way, the referees have been fucking abysmal for the start of the goddamn season.
Every game.
Like,
Every game.
yeah.
Every
they all
game,
are.
every
Yeah.
sport.
Yeah.
No, but seriously though, even worse right now because the calls they're making are slipshod at best. They're
Yeah.
ticky-tacky at best. And it's just like half the calls that they make are not correct as well. They call hooking penalties holding. I'm like, how the fuck do you get holding and hooking wrong? Hooking
Yeah,
is
that's
completely opposite of if I had a stick and I hooked you, that's fucking hooking. If I do this is fucking holding. How do you fuck that up? You have fucking eyes. Use them. But anyway, besides the refs, I'm not going to get too mad at the refs because let's be honest, the refs are only as good as how intelligent they are, and we all know they're too dumb to chew. But at the end of the day, I will say that the coaching cannot be the major problem here because if it's the case, then how come it's been that we've been able to make the playoffs? How come it's been that this team has responded well, led the division for a cup of coffee last year? How can it be the coaching then? It's the team.
Yeah.
Because this is pretty much the same team. This is the same fucking team from what we saw last year. Not much changes besides maybe a
that's
couple.
That's a GM problem then. If it's
it's personnel, yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's.
But Ron Hextall's the guy. He's not rushing this because he's looking big picture. He's looking next 10, 15, 20 years down the road. He's building up a farm system that when guys leave, he could just rotate another guy that's ready to come right in and take the place.
Which is great, and that's nothing wrong with that.
But the thing is, though, if your NHL team is not playing up to standards, then why not bring some of those guys up to give that little spark? I mean, once you start messing with that starting lineup, that brings a spark to a team like, oh, shit, like, my job might be done here.
Yeah, I mean, it's only – I mean, keep in mind, it's only October. So
I
get your point. I understand your point completely.
And here's the thing, too. And I will say this. There is one thing that I will agree. Since we've had Hack, the Flyers have routinely gotten off to slower starts. The last 3 seasons are the perfect example of that. They went on that bad losing streak in the month of November where they couldn't even buy a fucking win. And then they go into December and they win almost all their games in December and they fucking crushed it for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Whereas the year before that, the Flyers did stumble out of the gate again, and eventually they put the pieces back together and got things going again. I will say that is one criticism I will accept, that yes, the Flyers have routinely gotten off to slow starts with Hack behind the bench. But again, I don't necessarily know if that's even really a coaching
I don't think it's
problem.
a coach thing. It just seems like it's a Flyers tradition because think about when Lavi went 0-4 to start the season and
they canned him.
Threw him out of town, and then he goes on to Nashville and look at him now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a lot of it. I don't believe it's coaching either.
No.
Overall, I've said it last week, said it the week before, the problem with this team is going to be defense. They're too young, and that's the problem. There's too many veterans out on the ice against them that are just taking advantage of them with no real leadership back there, and we're just going to keep repeating this over and over again until something happens closer to a trade deadline because this is the serious problem with the team. So
now here's the thing too. The final thing I'll say about the coaching is just like if you don't have Hackstall behind the bench, then who the fuck else are you going to put behind the bench? I would love to see someone sit here and tell me, like, what is truly missing? Yeah, the defense isn't great, but at the same time, too, and that is one of the options on the Twitter poll, is a lack of a veteran, a legit veteran captain on the D. And that's the truth because we don't have one. Andrew McDonald is not worthy of being on this fucking team. And we also know that this piece of shit isn't even worth to make the fucking practice squad for your 2 teams. Yeah. So
apparently Luke Shen is good enough, but we'll get into that later.
Is he even actually playing?
Yes.
Oh, he's not a scratch?
Nope.
No. Wow. Anyway.
We'll get into that a little bit later.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. With the Penguins, with the players that they have, defense has been very shaky. And then again, Matt Murray. Luckily, the Penguins could score because Matt Murray's goals allowed per game right now is almost 4.
Oh, Christ. And that's bad for him.
I mean, well, think about it. Against the Oilers the other night, he let in 5. The first game against the Capitals, he let in 6.
Well, he did get hurt, though.
I mean, yeah, he was hurt. The guy's 3-1 this season, but it's just it's just that, fortunately, we've been able to score. I mean, the Penguins right now are 4-1-2 on the season, winning 4-0 right now against Calgary. And it's just, Matt Murray does have a shutout, but the numbers are saying that he doesn't, so it's.
Son of a bitch.
Again, it's inconsistency, yes, and your game went way. Oh, sorry, 5-0, excuse me.
God damn it.
So, with that, that's what I'll say about the coaching. I'm like, listen.
Luke Shen must be in the lineup tonight.
Why?
I'll let you know.
It's 5-2.
For the
for Dallas Stars. God damn it. All right, so I want to see what see what some of the people have to say
Well,
about this.
before we jump right on into that, the other two choices, besides the lack of a defensive captain, one is other, and then the other has just been pretty much the young talent not stepping up really to the plate to do what they got to do, and that's take the next step forward, which unfortunately, without one, you can't really have the other, namely being you need a veteran D-man to teach the young guys. And like I said, Andrew McDonald is not in a single fucking lifetime, maybe in 20 lifetimes, is going to be good enough to cut the fucking mustard. Let's just call it what it is.
Luke Shen is a -2, by the way.
I knew it.
Oh, that
Just
mediocrity.
I knew it.
Just
Shen!
throw it out there.
Son of a bitch! You struck again, you asshole.
All right, let's get to some of
Affecting
these comments
2 of
here on
3
Facebook
teams.
Live. Let's see what the people have to say. See what the family says here. Tom Arnone. Honestly, I hope all you boys have the answers. This team is pissing me off. Get the C off of G's chest, please.
Woo! Fire.
No. What up, my dogs?
Put it on simmer.
You stop it. David Roska, hello. Dave, how you doing,
He's been
buddy?
the best player on the team this season.
You stop it.
He's a guy that you guys wanted to run out of town last year.
Well, no.
I'm still trying to run him out of town.
No.
Yes!
No. Hold on. I didn't want to run him out of town. I wanted to consider
Trade him. Okay,
I
same
wanted,
difference.
I wanted the Flyers to consider their damn options because I didn't want the situation that we had this fucking season happen, which is not a legitimate defensive veteran in the back teaching the young kids. Instead, we got Andrew fuck off McDonald, who's leading the goddamn defense.
Hey,
he
you
is
think that's his legal middle name?
Probably.
off,
But
probably,
Pope
yeah.
says Matty is all about Luke Shen, and might be right now considering how bad the defense has been, so it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah, pretty much. Ever since Luke Shen left town, I've really needed someone to spark my fucking rage. And Andrew McDonald has officially he has taken that spot, and I think he's proud of that because he just keeps demonstrating every fucking game why he shouldn't be on this fucking team.
And no, Mike, there's a lot of people you can say, oh, we tried to run out of town. But like Maddie said, when it came to Wayne Simmons, we looked at it as fans as we need to move on to the next generation. We recognized that we could never win with him because we've never been able to do it in years past. I love Wayne Simmons. He's one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
But even I, someone who wasn't trying to run him out of town, noticed, okay, well, we've never been able to win with the guy. Let's try and get something for him and move on while his value is still that high.
But you've never won with G either. I
Yes,
mean, you've
but
gotten
here's
to that cup.
Hey, but give him credit due, though. G is one of the major factors of basically winning the last playoff series we ever fucking won. And that
I can't remember when was that?
It was against you guys
okay.
in 2012.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I was back in middle school.
Oh, Jesus.
No, I'm
you gotta
kidding.
make me feel old.
I'm just kidding. I was in high school. 2012 was senior year.
Yes.
Going into senior year.
Still make me feel old.
It was for me, too. But anyway,
I wasn't
but
even
still,
born.
though. Not
Shut up. you look like you wouldn't have been born.
Because I wasn't. Because I wasn't.
All right, back to the comments here.
But anyway, but seriously, though, like, G, why would you take the C off? Because there's really nobody else to put the captaincy on
There
for
is
one
nobody.
thing. And at the same time, too, he just had 100 points last season.
No,
I'm like,
he's the best player
He's the
on that
best
team.
player we got.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, honestly,
Sorry, 6-0 Penguins now.
yes, we all know.
Let's go for the extra point. We
Yeah.
still got a half a game to play.
Yes, we know. You got fucking Sidney Crosby. Okay, please, Brian, continue with the comments.
Yes, I would love to. David Raska, my Ducks are struggling like the Flyers.
Ooh, burn.
It is. We're going for 4 in a row tonight. Ugh.
Well, at least you guys had a padding to come down on.
Getting lots of love on the jersey. Tom Arnone loving the jersey. Rob Povia, sweet Ducks jersey, Bri. I love the coloration. I may get one after watching the Flyers game tonight. Hashtag sorry, I'm not sorry. My boy Tim Stow out there. What's up, Bri? How's it going? Love the jersey. Can't wait to get mine, and can't wait to see you in February, my man. Heading out there in February for a Ducks game. Watch Scott Niedermayer get his jersey retired.
Nice.
Very nice.
Frank Vespi, hey yo, sorry to bother you at work. My answer has been has to be the San Jose Sharks. Just kidding. Has to be coaching. Also, Hexy really needs to call up Carter Hart and make some moves to bolster the defense. I'm getting tired of Elliott between the pipes.
Okay, now that was the other thing that we need to address is goaltending. And unfortunately, Elliott is who he is, which was a concern that I had when we got him in the first place because, like, we traded one hot and cold goalie for another hot and cold goalie. But then when you see the 2-year rental, you're like, all right, how is he holding this spot for who? And if he's not performing up to par, can we sub him out? Because at this current time, not every game's his fault, but there are those flashes of him letting in soft goals, not making a save. The first goal scored by the Devils was a bad angle one that he didn't hug the post on, and he should have fucking
Did
done
he get that extra point?
Oh, no, not yet. I'm just laughing at him.
But anyway, but the perfect example of that was that. Oh God,
Put him between the pipes, damn it.
might as well at this point. Oh my God,
Got nothing to lose.
that would be great. I think it's official. I think Gritty has become.
Oh, he's taking over.
He is probably
He's a national treasure here in Philadelphia.
He is probably only behind one mascot, and that is the Fanatic. That is
No.
it.
I think he's above him now.
Really? You think he's above the Fanatic, the one who's been around the
The love?
longest
Yes.
in Philadelphia?
It's because
okay.
he's the
The
new
law,
kid on
the
the
interaction.
block. You know?
Wow. Okay.
That's our 11 a.m. poll question on the social medias.
Ah, interesting.
Well, now y'all know who my vote is.
yeah.
Spoiler.
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 Spoiler much. Anyway.
I was going to say something. Oh, no, I
was
totally
gonna say,
forgot because
feel
since we're
free to keep it
talking
to
about
yourself.
Elliott, trying to think. When you guys got him, was he coming from St. Louis or was he coming
Calgary.
from Calgary?
Calgary.
Okay, I thought he came from the Flames, so I wasn't sure because thought he went somewhere else. But back when he was with St. Louis, though, you saw him as like he was almost a top tier goaltender. You know, we looked at him and he was like he brought this team to conference finals, you know, and just killed it. And now it's like.
But he also had a better defense playing in front of him in St.
He-
Louis.
Absolutely,
than he does in
yeah,
Philadelphia.
but that's why
here's my point. Here's going to be my point. You call up Carter Hart with the defense that they have playing in front right now.
Oh, he's going to look
It
like
doesn't
shit.
matter who's there.
Yeah.
He's going to look shitty. Everyone's going to be like, oh, well, this guy was all hype. He sucks. We need to get another goalie. Hashtag goaltender issues forever. Stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
Sure up the defense first. Keep rocking with Elliott. Keep rocking with Noivy. It hurts to say it, but during the last years of the contract, let him finish out, develop the defense, then bring up Carter Hart.
The worst part of this
You're
is.
going to hang him out to dry. He's going to get fucked over, and he's going to have no confidence going forward.
And the worst part of it is, and I agree with that, you don't want Carter Hart to not have confidence in himself because if he don't have confidence in his game, he's not going to be the goalie we need him to be. We want a goalie to finally end the goaltending problem that Philadelphia's had for so goddamn long. Do not rush Carter Hart. Be patient with him. Let him come up when it is time. I get it. I fucking hate it too. I don't like the fact that Elliott lets in softies every once in a blue moon, but I also don't like the fact that the defense leaves him out to dry. So really, there are two. It takes two to tango, right? Guess what? Elliott may left in some soft goals here or there and may leave a few juicy rebounds for people, and so does Pickard too. And at the same time too, though, that defense does not do a great job of finding their fucking man. And multiple times, you will see a player with all the fucking time in the world to stand right in front of Elliott and take a beautiful wrist shot and get right by him. Like, I don't care what goalie it is. It could be fucking Wah in fucking net right now. If you give enough time to any player and they can load up a beautiful wrist shot, if they're not on that game that night, that shit's going in. That's how good of a shot it could be.
Glad you brought that up. Shout out to Carey Price for becoming tying Patrick Waugh for most
Yeah.
wins in a Montreal Canadiens uniform.
Wow.
Shout out to Carey Price.
Yeah, good for him.
Wow.
That is actually when I saw that stat, I was like, really?
He's been there that long.
Yeah,
It's been there so
yeah.
long that I forgot Yaroslav Halak used to play in Montreal.
Yeah,
That
he
is
was the
true.
goalie before Price.
yeah. Halak actually was the goalie that had the shutout tonight. I know I don't want to bring it up, but
Yeah.
the shutout tonight for Boston. So.
Yep.
Oh,
All right, so I want to jump back to some of these comments here since they keep rolling in. Frank Vespi continues on to say, I love that jersey, Bry. Clink, not so much. When is Berto going to pull a Vespi and show the Guinness jersey? I'm guessing never. Just give it up. Give it up, Frank.
Frank, that was a month ago.
I think it actually was.
It was a month ago.
Rob Povia, to answer as for my answer to the poll, I mostly blame young players, but even when starting to shore up their play in the front of their own net, our goalie is fucking atrocious. I agree, but again, that still comes down to the defense trying to clean up the rebounds.
If anything, it's both. You know, it's a tough thing to say, but it really is both. They
No,
both.
you can absolutely make an argument.
Yeah, I think if anything, Elliott has to take his share of the blame too. Is it all his fault? No, but there are plenty of times where it is his fault, and the defense has to take responsibility, which they have. Unfortunately, you can address how many times you play shitty all the time you want to until you're blue in the face. At the end of the day, though, it's like, okay, I am done hearing the excuses. I want to fucking see some action. I want to see you guys progress, not fucking regress. What the hell? If you need a veteran D-man, please, someone make it happen. I will say this now. That is exactly the reason why our defense sucks at this point in time. We do not have a legitimate defensive leader on this team. We need one. We need him now. We should have gotten him in the summer. I said it during the summertime. I said maybe we should consider trading Wayne Simmons. We didn't fucking do it. And guess what happened? Our defense fucking blows. Fuck, I wonder why. We don't have a legit defense captain. We have fucking Andrew McDonald. We have Rocco Gudis.
He's good.
I don't think now's the time to toy with him.
And on top of that, too, the only person who's stepping up is Shane Gostisbehere, and I love his effort. I really do. Ghost is the one person I cannot hate right now on this defense. He's trying as hard as he can, but Ghost is still very young, and he still has a lot to fucking learn, and he still has a lot to progress with. It's only his third year on the damn team. So it's like, for Christ's sake, like, what the fuck? We had a chance to go get somebody, and we didn't get a chance to get. We didn't even decide to take a bid. Like you said, we were linked to other teams. But you know what? Even if that went through, at some point, something's got to go off, and you say, you know what? We'll take a gamble, and we'll try somebody that may not necessarily be the big pick, may not be the sexy pick, but we'll go with them. And we'll see if he can lead this team defensively. At least you made a fucking effort in the summertime. And I can at least say, you know what? At least they tried. They tried to have a legitimate defensive leader, but they didn't fucking get him. It's like, all right, you tried at the end of the day.
They did try.
But that's the thing, though. Even though those deals didn't work out, it's like you could have done something else. You could have gone to another route. Like,
so
there wasn't really much out there. I mean, you had the Eric Carlson thing dangling in front, and Ottawa wanted too much for Philly to like. That's fine. The other guy I would have went after was Mike Green. Went back to Detroit. There was another guy. I'm blanking.
Well, even
on
a
his
guy
name.
like Jack Johnson coming to Pittsburgh.
Jack Johnson went to Pittsburgh
I
before
mean,
free
for
agency. Well, technically
$3.2
before
million.
free agency started.
Yeah.
But there was a technicality in there.
But that's
whatever,
the thing, though. It's just like
I remember that. Yeah.
But the thing is, I look at it this way too. I look at the teams out there and I say, you know what? Let's look at it this way. We need a defensive leader now, and yes, this isn't fun to do. But if we can package Simmer, I love Simmons. I really do, and he's playing phenomenally well, and I can't complain about that. But you could package him, and yes, I know it would be hard to do, but part with one of your prospects. It's not fun to do to have to pass up on one. But you do that, and you tempt one of the teams to say, hey, we will give you him because we want to get a young, legitimate prospect. And at the same time, if we want to add a little bit more danger to our defense, our offense, we can take Simmer off your hands. It would have been something that the Flyers could have done over the summer, get somebody, get him on that defense. I hate to say that the Flyers exhausted all measures. I'd like to say that at times, maybe they just didn't want to pull the deal they necessarily needed to pull off. And I hate that, but I hate to say that possibly could have been the case. It's just like, dude, you got to spend a little money to make a little money.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes, we got a lot of prospects, and I don't want to give any of them up. I'd love to keep all of them, but sometimes you just got to part with one of them.
But here's the thing, though, about a prospect is that it's more of a gamble for the other team in a sense because you don't know what they are. They could be a star. They could be a bust.
But that's it.
So,
again, though.
That's why it's okay to package. I mean, a guy that I'm upset. I mean, we got Phil Kessel in that trade, but Kasperi Kapanen has been playing lights out recently for Toronto, and he's becoming a young star. I mean, he's not like this flashy
he's
name.
what they expected him to be.
But exactly, that's what he was supposed to be, and it's just that there was never enough roster space for a guy like him. I mean, he was still young when we traded him away, But it was just like he's one of those guys that I'm like, shit, like I would take him right now over. I like Daniel Sprong, but Sprong is just he's been shaky for us. I mean, he's been back and forth with the AHL, NHL, the past 2 seasons, and it's just that when you see a guy like Kapanen, you're like, man, I'd rather have him on the wing right now than a guy like Daniel Sprong. So
Yeah. Again, that was the one thing that truly is hurting this team right now, and unfortunately, we may have to wait till the trade deadline before we can even remotely think about, okay, we got to do it. I don't want to do it, but we got to fucking do it. We got to pick a prospect. We got someone that's actually progressing okay, and we got to pick Simmons, and we got to send him away.
yeah,
And again, and this is one thing too, when you grab a guy like JVR, this kind of helps you in that regard in one way, because you could say, hey, we do have JVR, so we still have offensive depth, even if we got rid of him. So it's like, okay, so we're not killing ourselves. We're not cutting out our offense. We do have JVR still.
yeah.
And we have him long term. So it's like, all right, we still have depth.
See,
So it's not as big of a loss as it would have been if we had traded him over the summer and we did not go out and get JVR.
I mean, that's the thing too. You put a lot of money into him. Not saying that it's going to be a bad thing and bite you in the ass, but once he comes back and is healthy, I think it will eventually work out long term for them. But that's the thing too. You're also missing him right now, so you're taking when your offensive players are missing, it's going to affect your defense more, because now the defense has to come back faster than what they normally have to with, having a guy that's respected a lot by other defensemen in a guy like JVR, where they have to kind of stay back a little bit. But if you're facing a Flyer team with a, JVR-less line, you're kind of going to creep up a little more to the point where teams could go full, 5-on-3 with your defense, and that's when the turnovers and everything is just
And on top of
going to
it
affect
too,
them.
and on top of that too, one other thing that, and Nolan Patrick, by the way, speaking of those injuries, he did come back and he did have a goal when he came back, so he got going when he came back from his injury, which is good to see that. All right, Patrick at least, he got hurt, but it didn't look like it affected his game because he did have a goal when he came back. So it's like, all right, cool. It's good to see that Patrick's all right. Hopefully the same thing with JVR when he gets back. And that's a tough loss for you realize how tough it is when you realize, shit. You lose JVR. It's like, well, shit, we just lost a really good goal-scoring two-way forward.
Yeah, exactly.
That fucking sucks.
I mean, it is a big problem, and it's obviously hurt right now. I mean, it's just the offense in the last 2 games has scored 1 goal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a small sample size, but, I mean, if you bring in other games like the Devils, they scored 5. So, I mean, the team is capable of scoring, but against a higher quality team right now, they've been struggling.
I think the problem that they run into is that 2 things. First, I think the Flyers, again, with their offensive attack, at times it gets read too easy, or the defense that they're facing is very strong and they don't have a counter for that. And it's like, if you don't, and then on top of it, our special teams are weak. The power play has been
is atrocious.
Iffy. It's had
penalty kills.
Penalty kill has been atrocious, and the power play has been all right at times. It's been great, and then it's been non-existent.
Yep.
So it's like, again, it's another one of those things where special teams suffer at the end of the day, because it's just like,
Special teams has been atrocious. 1 for 17 in the last 6 games.
It's been bad. It's been really, really bad for this team, and it's got to get fixed too. That's another problem that they're running into with higher quality teams. You get thrown in the box, they're going to make you pay for it. The only reason why we did so well against the Devils is because really the Devils they're basically here. They got better in the summer.
They've come down to life too.
They have.
I mean, they started out 4-0 and now they're 5-4, I believe, or 5-3, something like that.
Something like that. But that's the point, though. It's like the Devils and the Flyers are really right here. When you look at teams based on that. And I still say that to this day, because even though the Devils have guys like Taylor Hall and Nico Herscher, that's great. That's their offense. Their defense at times has been a little suspect in their own right. And that's not to say their defense is bad. It's not. But it has those moments where it has its human moments. Unfortunately, the same thing happens to the Flyers. Problem is the Flyers defense is really young and has no veteran leadership. And that's what's killing us at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to keep talking about that all season, is
Yeah.
the lack of leadership in in their defense. So
And that has got to be the major selling point for the trade deadline.
yeah,
The Flyers have to be buyers by trade deadline time if they want to do anything. If they
Oh, well-
manage to scrape together a decent enough record to where
they
they're
have to be in
still-
that position.
Yeah,
Exactly.
if they're still good enough to be dangerous and be a legitimate competitor, then you have to be a buyer and you have to get a legitimate defensive leader in your lineup before the deadline closes, or you're fucked. It's as simple as that.
Just throwing this out there real quick. Danny Amendola just threw a touchdown pass to Kenyon Drake.
All right.
Thought that's pretty interesting.
So with that being said, are there any more comments?
We got a ton more comments.
Good.
still.
Go
Oh
right
yeah,
ahead.
get into what we were arguing on there.
Which part?
The one that I chose an answer for Maddie.
Oh yeah, we're
But
still a ways
when you
away
get
from
to
that.
it, yeah, when you
We're
get
still
to
a
it.
ways away from
Okay.
that. We got
It's
Rich
a question
Howard
for you, don't worry.
waving. Hi, Rich. Hope you're still watching. Rob Povia continues to say, as he was saying earlier, they're missing JVR. Remember, he'll be back. Now it won't help in net, but he's defensively responsible and can keep the puck possession in the offensive zone. Papa Klinkoff, hey guys, 4-0 Penguins.
That's old news. It's 6-0.
It is old news. This is how far back we are. Chrome, hey fellas, I think they need more veteran leadership, which is we all agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tim, Ducks have been slacking on defense lately. They've been slacking everywhere lately. It's been the same story here in Philly as it is out in Anaheim. Defense has been bad. Offense has been lackluster. I kind of feel bad for Gibson. Chrome, I agree with Rob too. The absence of JVR is looming large right now. Pove, they need to pawn off Noivy for a 30-pack, bring up Hart, and start him with Elliott backing up. That's probably not going to happen.
Interesting.
But like I said earlier, it
For a
doesn't matter if you bring
30-pack?
up. Listen, if you bring up Carter Hart now, it's not going to matter because defense is just playing horribly in front
Yeah,
of them.
like you said, it's just gonna piss off the fans more because then they're gonna be like, "Wow, this
Yeah, 'cause
goalie
then this
sucks
guy
too."
fucking
But
sucks.
it's not him; it's the defense.
Steve Gustav Christians. I'm gonna take a shot there. I'm sorry if I butchered your name there, Steve. Sick Ducks jersey. Thank you very much. Chrome. The Ducks jersey is fire, bruh. I'll take it.
bruh.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Uh, Steve Gustav. Bruins made me $200 tonight.
Good for him.
Yo, can I borrow $1? Just kidding. Stephen Henney says the captain is to blame. Greg Malakovic, what up, fellas? I'm going with a lack of veteran captain. I'm assuming he means veteran leadership. Vraska, Chrome is all about the Ducks.
Probably
I'm
not.
sure
but
about all.
I think he just.
I don't know
likes to
about all
try-
that.
I mean, who doesn't like the old
No,
Mighty Ducks?
that's
you
Come
know?
on,
That's the
man.
cool
this
shit,
is, This is
man.
the best
Like-
logo.
Yeah,
it probably is one
I'm
of the
surprised
best
the
logos
Ducks just
out there.
haven't decided to bring it back yet.
I like the old Phoenix Coyotes logo too,
Why did they
Yeah.
ever go away from it?
because
of Disney.
what the
Yeah,
Ducks-
Disney
yeah.
sold it.
Yeah.
Disney technically had the rights to this logo
Mm-hmm.
before the team came around, so it's kind of
They figured they could sgueeze out a fourth Mighty Ducks movie, so I guess
Understood.
they thought that. You know.
Understood.
I do wonder if Charlie Conway ever got to the NHL.
It's a good question.
I have to look it up.
What is
We're gonna have to.
on now? What is that show? Never mind.
Steve
Stay
Krasowski.
over there. No.
Steve Krasowski, man, where you been? Where you hiding, Steve? Haven't seen you in a while. Hi guys, they made stupid mistakes tonight. Lindblom should have known better going after the puck and not completely out of the penalty box. Oh yeah, he did get a penalty for that, didn't he? Hart's not ready. He's currently struggling with the Phantoms, as Steve goes on to say. Okay. Alexander, I'm sorry, but I'm totally gonna butcher your last name here. Brokopitz, I'm gonna assume. What's up, brother? Glad you're listening. Pove, this is going back to our defensive veteran conversation. Eric Carlson or Frolin? Weighing the options. Steve Jenkins. Steve, where you been, dude? Who does Matt hate more? Sidney Crosby or the entire Devils organization?
Ooh. Damn. That's a tough.
We have the answers.
Hashtag tough questions.
We have our answers. Some of the guys commented on here what we thought. So
I mean,
before we say the answers, we got to get yours.
well, let me see. Let me bring the scale out here. Let me weigh the negatives here. All right. Well, that piece of shit right there has won 2 Stanley Cups.
3.
Well, not 3, but the last 2, 3
I
years,
gotcha.
2 in a row. And then he, of course, won that other one. Meanwhile, the Flyers have continued to struggle and only made the Stanley Cup Finals once in the new century and lost. And then on the other negative side of it, Crosby also is in my opinion, a complete pussy on the ice. So we'll go with that one since he refuses to fight.
He has fought a couple times, but I'll just
The
say that.
anticipation is killing me.
I know. I just want the answer.
And then on top of that, too, they did do one positive, and that is they changed from the stupid fucking gold color, and they did go back to the old one. So I'll give them that one. Fashion-wise, they corrected themselves.
Thanks. Thanks for the approval, man.
Yeah.
Fashionista over here.
Yeah, sure. All right, so, and then on top of that, too, I just more jealousy of the Penguins, if anything. With the Devils, it's just
Pure hate.
because of the fact that that team had the biggest thug that ever existed in the fucking NHL, a bigger thug than fucking Ty Domi, Donald Brashear, and fucking more of a scumbag than fucking Claude Lemieux. And not necessarily Sean Avery. He's not on that level of scumbag. You have to really fucking want it to be on his level. But definitely belongs in that category with that piece of shit known as Scott Stevens. And that team also should not have existed in the first place because, quite frankly, who the fuck cares about the Devils? You have the Rangers to the north. You have the Flyers to the south. Why the fuck do you need a team in New Jersey? The state really isn't fucking important, so let's call it what it is. So,
I live in it.
Yeah, I live in it too, and it's a piece of shit state to live in. So anyway.
Nobody asked you to be here.
Hey, do you think I wanted to be born in this piece of shit state? The only good thing out of it is being here, knowing you motherfuckers. That's pretty much the only good thing about living in this place. But anyway.
Yay!
Make me feel proud.
Woo!
All
right,
Jack Johnson, his first goal with the Penguins.
But to finish it off, but hold on, to finish off, and my final cons that weighs it out is the New Jersey Devils have period blood red jerseys. The Penguins have piss yellow. What is more gross at the end of the day? I'm going to go with the period blood. So the New Jersey Devils, I officially hate them more
Steve,
than I hate
why'd
the
you have to ask
Pittsburgh
this
Penguins.
question?
However,
Oh.
as of currently right now, though, Crosby is still public enemy number 1 in my eyes. Taylor Hall has not reached it yet. He'll get there eventually. I know he fucking will. All right. Yes, Brian?
So is the official answer the Devils organization?
The
as a-
Devil organization in general. Just fucking can't stand them.
Gross.
I knew it was going to be close, but I know every time we talk about the Devils, you just start to twitch.
I can't fucking
By the way,
stand
we were
that
right.
team. It was the Devils.
I mean, that was.
I picked the
It was 2-1.
yeah,
Yeah, but
Pope said Crosby.
yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Crosby is still public enemy number 1, though. And every time I see the Penguins and the Flyers, I would love nothing more than for somebody to kind of lean in on a check a little bit and maybe knock another tooth out of Crosby's mouth. But I mean,
The Chicklets.
it's past the days where Darian Hatcher was a Flyers D-man. So I can't really say that we can get away with those things anymore this day. But hey, you know what though? We'll see what happens when the Flyers face the Penguins again, won't we? Hey,
We'll see.
Stadium Series
we got a
will be here
while
before
for
you
that.
know it.
Yeah.
I think actually, is that the first game the Flyers have with the Penguins? Is the Stadium Series?
It
Is
might actually
I think
be.
it is.
Oh my God! What a way to start the season series in an outdoor
They did it on
game.
purpose.
There might be one in like January, but other than that, I think that might actually be the first game, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Plus,
Plus, also think about it too. Historically, when you look back on it, before the Penguins got good, they were kind of irrelevant.
Absolutely.
And even when Lemieux was on the team, the Flyers beat him.
Mhm.
So it's like, well, you can't really hate the Penguins because every time we meet them in the postseason, we beat them.
take advantage of
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
It was the Devils that was the total fucking opposite, where it's just like every time we meet them, we couldn't fucking beat them. And it was like, Why the fuck can't we beat these guys?
Yeah.
Like even
They're a
in
powerhouse.
even in fucking 2000, we had them beat 3-1, and we gave it all back to them. It's like, how the fuck do you screw this up? You have a 3-1 damn lead in the series, and you let them back in, and you let them win. Don't you know by now that this is the fucking New Jersey Devils?
Yeah.
You don't give them anything. You crush them. You make them feel worthless to the point where they might question life decisions. That's what you fucking do to this team. Make them feel like the redheaded stepchild that they fucking are of the goddamn NHL. That's why, I hate them more. But
Steve, you had to get him going, dude.
yeah,
Because they're redheaded.
You had to get him going.
ginger on ginger violence. What can I say?
You should see the numbers.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad.
Those soulless fucks.
Oddly enough, though, more in suburbia than the inner city, believe it or not.
So Alexander says, fire the coach, referring to our poll question.
That's
I'm
not-
just going to move on after that. It's
Nah,
there.
that's
Nope.
reasonable.
We addressed
Pove.
that earlier.
He's not old enough to realize. We're not getting into that one, Pove. Sorry, dude. What else we got here? We got Scott Francis. You need to score goals. The power play is non-existent. Time to change personnel.
That's what I was going to look up.
David Raska, Anaheim D, needs to be a goaltender. I'm not sure I follow you there, Dave.
So you're
third
gonna-
period
I
comeback.
don't follow half the stuff he says.
so you guys are just gonna pick a random defenseman like Luke Shen to be your
You
goalie?
should be.
Apparently, Gibby's out of town for him.
I'm not sure about that. But anyway, he says third period comeback. Good luck with that. Offense has been gone the last week. What else we got? 7-0. Wow from Papa Klinkoff.
You know it.
David Rossick continuing. Kings are sucking like Anaheim. Well, that's a good thing. Hopefully they're not sucking in February when I go see him, because that would be an awesome. I'm going to an awesome Kings game while I'm out there. Ladies and Jets, Kings suck tonight. Thank God for that. And Steve Jenkins says, "I'm sorry. You should be." Jesus.
Damn it, Steve.
I have some YouTube comments for you guys.
Sure,
yes.
go
Beautiful.
right ahead, Mr. Bruno.
David is going on a rant over here.
Oh, he is.
So he's
I-
on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah, he's
Go
double
ahead.
dipping.
the double dip.
He's going crazy. David Roska. Hello, David. Once again. He says, "What's up, guys? I'm here on YouTube." Yeah, you're on Facebook too, buddy. It says,
You're
he says,
everywhere.
"Doing double duties. Let's go Ducks, 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 rock." All right, David. Then he says, Anaheim Ducks are the best. Anaheim needs to bounce back. Then he says, they will bounce back. Then he says, where is Pove? Bring Pove. Bring Pove. Then he says, Ducks need to come back once again. And then Bryce Blackwell says, Hart has to come up.
Bryce, usually I can't keep saying it. He's not ready.
If
He's not ready. He's going to get destroyed up here right now with the way the defense is playing in front.
If we had a better defense, this wouldn't be an issue right now. Then yes, I would say there's no excuse to keep Elliott in net anymore. But unfortunately, it's like I don't think we can. I would rather have Elliott's confidence shattered than fucking Hart's. That's for sure.
Yeah, who gives a
'Cause,
shit?
like,
Elliott's out of town and after this season's up anyway, so it doesn't matter.
If Elliott considers retirement by the end of this season, it's like I don't give a shit. It was irrelevant to begin with.
He better not. He's only 33. He's gonna make me feel old.
Yeah, but he's a goalie, and by NHL standards, that's old. You're not.
I'm
Remember, NHL
by my standards, I'm old.
Yeah, but you know,
By NHL standards, I'm old.
you don't follow their standards. What the fuck do they know?
Everything to the NHL, they're my favorite.
Oh yeah, and they've got Gary Bettman as their commissioner. So
I do have.
He's done some good stuff for the league.
I want to ask you guys a question, okay? It involves Crosby and McDavid.
oh, okay.
Do you believe we are seeing some sort of a passing of the torch?
What do
I
you
don't
mean?
see. That's
I wouldn't say yet.
no. The only,
And that's one of the things that, when that game happened the other night, that a lot of, other reporters are saying, like, this is the game, like, watch out for this game. Like, you'll see the torch being passed after this game, but obviously the old man got the best of him with the game winner that night, which was a spectacular goal, by the way.
wait a
But-
minute.
I'm
how-
not following. So how are they referring to him as passing
Well,
the torch?
they were
like,
they were talking about, like, you have, the leader of the throne right now, and then you got the prince that's sitting there.
Oh, I got
You know
I
what I'm
got you.
And-
It's the king versus the prince.
Yeah,
right now.
and
Okay,
you know
I got you.
they were talking about like, is McDavid now the best player in the NHL? Is it not Crosby anymore? Is basically the debate that was going on.
Listen,
well, I see. Here's the thing. The problem is like, to me, the torch passing. I look at it this way: you haven't really gotten the torch passed to you until the Penguins have officially. Crosby is pretty much getting ready to hang him up, which he's still nowhere near planning to do.
Nah, he's only 31.
Yeah,
he's still got a couple more years left.
Nowhere
He's only
maybe another
near-
decade.
Yeah.
He's only in the middle of his
Yeah.
prime.
Yeah, he is nowhere near ready to hang him up, and that is a horrible thing to say for a Flyers fan.
Sorry.
But at the same time, it's, to me, McDavid and his team, the torch does not get passed until you have crossed the threshold and you won the Stanley
Yeah.
Cup. And they haven't done it yet.
They haven't
And
won a playoff series.
Here's the thing.
I, don't
I
believe.
look at it this way. People were thinking that even though he followed the trend of having
They won one.
the same
Have they?
digits on the back of the jersey, Lindros really never got the torch passed to him, even though they did beat the Rangers with Gretzky,
Yeah.
with Messier on that team, even with Curry on that team in the Eastern Conference Finals to go to that 97 Stanley Cup Finals. Technically, you can't really say the torch was passed to Lindros and the Flyers because the Flyers lost and the Red Wings won. Really, if anything, the torch got passed to the Red Wings,
Yeah.
who took it over from there.
Lindros.
So,
Disgusting.
honestly, for me, I would
That
say
team.
I would honestly say that until McDavid and his Edmonton Oilers get their shit together and manage to get out of the Western, even if they just win one in a long period of time, they finally gotten the torch passed to them. And especially if they were to face the Penguins in the Stanley Cup Finals and beat them, then there is not a shadow of a doubt in my mind the torch got passed. That's
So,
my take
Listen,
on
I don't
that.
think he's passing the torch anytime soon because, like Matty, I kind of see that as like a retirement kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting ready to hang him up.
Well,
but
I'm just saying, this was the most anticipated
It's-
probably game of that night with,
Of course.
the two top players in the league, going up against each other. So I want to base a question to you guys. I have my answer, but going off of kind of what Brodo was saying was, who's more important to their team then?
Crosby.
Crosby. Because think about it this way.
But, okay, no, go ahead and answer because
Okay.
I actually feel differently.
Well, here's the reason why. It's because the Oilers are trying to build something around McDavid. They already built something around Crosby.
Yeah.
And it paid its
Well,
dividends.
it's
And-
paid. But what I was going to say is take both of those guys off their team and just don't put them anywhere. Which team would still, where would those teams go? The Penguins still have a guy like Malkin, a defensive leader like Letang, a young goaltender. So I'm not saying, obviously, I think Crosby is 100% important to this team. But if you take off McDavid from the Oilers, they might not be a team by the end of the year. Like,
That's a good point.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
gonna. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's a
is
fair point.
the importance of a player
Well,
like him to a franchise like that.
But the thing about with Crosby is if you take him off that team,
they wouldn't be the same, no
and
doubt.
they wouldn't have two straight cups.
No, absolutely
honestly.
not. Absolutely not. But I just wanted to raise that question of who's actually more kind of important to that team right now.
They're both very important to their teams. I mean, even with Connor McDavid right now, Edmonton is not a playoff team.
Yeah.
You take Crosby off the Penguins. Yeah, they're still arguably a playoff team, but they're not that sure thing that
They're
they are
not.
with
Yeah,
them.
absolutely.
So to me, Crosby's more important because they're a little further
In like
into
a prime
rebuild,
kind of thing, right?
and
yeah.
they're in their prime. Crosby's in the middle of his prime. He's playing the best hockey I think I've ever seen him play right now.
Yeah.
No, you're still getting that from McDavid, but McDavid still has a long way to go.
Yeah.
Again, the Oilers organization itself has a long way to go because they have not fixed it.
But what we thought was going to be like a Penguins 2.0 hasn't. That's the problem.
Well, I think the reason why is because the Oilers, and here's the difference between them and the Penguins. The Penguins, they did suck for a period of time, but when they drafted Fleury, which was their first step,
yeah.
the second step was Crosby. After that, they got Malkin. Then they got Stahl. But during that entire period of time of getting those guys, they went out and got players to put
to
around
put
them.
around them. Yeah.
And they got guys like Recchi back on the Penguins to
Mhm.
put around them that were veterans. They went and got other legitimate players. And then you also had Chris Letang, who came into his own during that time period. All of that being said, they had players around them that elevated their game because they were veterans on that
Yeah.
team. I don't think the Oilers ever did that. And
No.
yeah, they had Sam Gagner.
It's also
But-
too the fact that those draft picks didn't work out for them either. I mean, you look obviously Taylor Hall worked out for him, but was traded for a defensive piece, which is something that they lacked.
But a team with a better structure in the
Yeah.
New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
And that's what I think resulted in Taylor Hall.
Sparking up last
Sparking
time.
up
I
out
mean,
of
we
nowhere,
saw
yeah.
how great of a player Taylor Hall can really be
Yeah.
when he went to New Jersey last season. I mean, that was just
I
phenomenal.
mean, you saw it in Edmonton for a little while.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
him
yeah,
and Todd
I'm not saying
McClellan
he didn't,
just-
but
But here's the problem.
didn't mesh.
The pressure. I think that was also another thing that made Taylor Hall feel a lot more comfortable playing
Yeah.
in a Devils jersey because there wasn't that constant pressure on him. You're a number 1 overall pick. You have to be better
Yeah.
than this. You have to lead our team to the playoffs. You have to be the next Wayne Gretzky. That pressure's not there. When you go to the New Jersey Devils, the Devils weren't really known for crazy offensive goal scorers, especially on their Stanley Cup teams. Yeah, they won a couple with some skilled players, but think about it. Who's their most skilled player in history for the New Jersey Devils? It's not
Patrick
that,
Elias.
but Patrick Elias didn't come along until much later.
Well, he still got the pressure on him though with the Devils because he's that veteran leader that they have.
He does, but that thing is, it's not as bad as you have to be the next Wayne Gretzky.
No, I don't
which
think
I
anybody
think-
ever compared him to Wayne Gretzky or wanted him to be the next Wayne Gretzky.
You know,
Taylor
but-
Hall was a former number 1 overall pick. Yeah, it doesn't matter where he goes now. He's still going to be a former number 1 pick.
Yeah,
They're
but
going to have a high expectations for him.
you are going to have high expectation for him, but I think in Edmonton I think it's turned up to 1,010% even higher than what it is on a regular team. On another team, yeah, pressure's on, but is it as on as it is in Edmonton? No, because I think Edmonton, being the feverish fan base that they are, they haven't seen any sustained playoff success in a very long time.
I think
And-
that's where the pressure comes from. It's from being a losing organization trying to get back on the up and up.
And that's where I think that helps
Watson.
him graduate from being Edmonton to New Jersey because the Devils, yeah, the expectations there, but with the Devils, it's not like that team has been shit for like 20 years. That team's only been it's been going up and down for maybe a good 5. So it's like, okay, for 5 years going up and down, they're still competitive. It's a lot better than what Edmonton's been doing for the last 10.
Yeah, it's also
You
a
know.
better system for Taylor Hall, and you're seeing
And-
the results from it too.
Again,
Him
I
and
think-
Todd McClellan didn't get along either.
Well, okay, that on top of it, it's just a bunch of things I think that contributed to Taylor Hall just not panning out in Edmonton, but going to the Devils was a breath of fresh air for him.
That I can agree with.
Yeah, but anyway, so with that being said, we will go to break and we will end the festivities on Facebook. However, though, if you do wish to continue watching the rest of the show, there will be a link in the comments. Feel free to click on that to catch the second half of this bad boy on YouTube. But for all those out there on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Stupid autocorrect. Sorry.
thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you next week if you do not join us for YouTube. If you do join us for YouTube, we will see you on the other side. But first, we talk to you about Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs located at 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030. Email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com. This is the Hockey Happy Hour on A2DRadio.com. We will be right back right after this on YouTube. And like I said before, thank you on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hopefully we'll see you on the other side right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hockey Happy Hour right here on A2DRadio.com. Matt Sensudi with Michael Klankov and Brian the Darkwing Daily. Behind the board is the sign guy himself, Mr. Ryan Brodo.
Hello.
And we are brought to you
That's all you
by...
are to us.
That is fine with me.
Sorry, go ahead.
We are brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accounts located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. You can give them a call at 215-369-3300. Taxes are not fun, folks. You want to know what it's like to get fleeced? Trust me, nothing worse in the world than getting fleeced, whether it's in fantasy sports. I think he might know a little something about that.
I know about fleecing.
Yeah, so-
May have just talked about this.
So don't get fleeced like somebody did against our sign guy here. Do the right thing.
Well, please do, actually. Please
Yeah.
do get fleeced against me.
Yeah. Don't get fleeced by the government, though, because
Yes.
at the end of the day, you want to get as much money back as you possibly can before the Uncle Sam takes it and uses it to fund all of its nefarious things that it likes to fund, like unnecessary wars and, bowling teams in the state of New Jersey and, the rest of that you can talk about.
He
So-
always goes to the next.
With that being said, do yourself a favor. Get as much money as you can back. But when it's tax season time, be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer. They'll do what they can, and they'll get you plenty of money back for it. Trust me.
That's what I want to hear.
All right.
All right, so now that we got that out of the way, I believe it is time for us to go to the NHL scores, and the look on your face, it's priceless every time.
He goes from unnecessary wars to
Bowling?
bowling leagues in the state of New Jersey.
I was, throwing out, the what affects us in general, and then what just affects us locally,
Are you kidding me?
It's gross.
How the hell did he score that?
That's gross.
What are you? What
happened?
is this?
Crosby's backhand goal that he had. He's basically
What?
on the line.
What the fuck? Wait, what the
Watch this.
That's
This
called
is,
puck luck.
look at that.
Oh
How,
my
how do you
God.
score that?
That's
I don't like honestly. He probably has the best backhand in the league. Just saying.
All right, so we're going to get
Brian,
into score updates now.
I'm going to say that's a little bit of
Let's
luck on that one.
please-
But anyway, we got go
I
over
mean,
there.
he's done
to-
it multiple
yeah.
times before, but we'll just.
All right, so going around the league right now, we have just in a final between the Stars and the Ducks. Stars win by a final score of 5-2. Ryan Getzlaf scoring 2 goals for the Ducks. Much needed. Philadelphia Flyers lose to the Boston Bruins tonight up at the TD Bank Garden 3-0. 5 minutes into the third period, Pittsburgh Penguins leading by a touchdown on the Calgary Flames, 7-0. About midway through the third period here, Caps down to the Oilers 2-1. Canucks and Coyotes are tied at 1 apiece halfway through the second period. Then we're going to get to a bunch of finals here. The Buffalo Sabres defeat the Montreal Canadiens 4-3. Predators have to go to OT to beat the Devils tonight by a final score of 4-3. Columbus Blue Jackets, another team that scores a touchdown tonight, beats the St. Louis Blues 7-4. Kings are downed by the Minnesota Wild tonight, 4-1 final. And the Chicago Blackhawks beat the New York Rangers in an original 6 matchup by a final score of 4-1.
All right.
That's all the matchups we have tonight on this
Cool.
beautiful Thursday.
Cool. Thank you, Mr. Daly.
Anytime, that's why I'm here.
All right, then. And now it is time for us to debut a segment here for the first time of many times to come here on the Hockey Happy Hour. And it is time for us to take a moment and reflect and to get,
I saw tissues around here, didn't I?
I don't know, but it is time for us to
This
go.
is the song you chose.
What?
He's a sensitive guy, okay?
I've noticed.
To be honest,
Alright.
I clicked the wrong one,
Okay.
okay?
It's all right. Well, now you have to stick with it. So
Here, I'll go to the John Mayer one. Hold on.
You're just waiting on the world to change, aren't you?
man.
Anyway.
Uh,
So with
Aren't
that,
we all?
with that, we will take a chance to reflect and give a deep, beloved thought and answer to Brodo's big question of the week.
all right, gentlemen. Tonight's big questions brought to you by Sports Outlet. For all of your sporting needs, you can find them on the web sportsoutletinc.com. And it brings us back right here to Philly, okay?
Ooh.
Talking about our Philadelphia Flyers.
Oh, Corey. Oh, boy.
And someone asked us this question on Birds with a Feather a few weeks ago. And I figured since it involved the Philadelphia Flyers, I wanted to bring it on to you guys and ask you guys, especially given, we're not all Flyers fans here.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was a good time to bring it up. So someone asked us our opinions on why we thought the beginning of the Flyers season did not have as much hype around it. Not necessarily regarding the team, but the fan base. In years past, there's a lot of excitement and all throughout, when it comes to the first game on social media, there's a lot of excitement towards it. And this season, there really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from, obviously, a mascot named Gritty, there was really no real excitement towards it compared to, recent years, especially going back closer to 2010. I want to know why you guys think that is, because I have a theory that kind of expands beyond the Flyers, but I want to hear your thoughts as to why you think the excitement for the Flyers, number one, do you think it's down compared to recent years? And two, if you do, why do you think that is?
Okay, then. So.
I could answer this one. Well, here's the first thing. I got to say, Sixers and Boston were playing game one, and Philadelphia took the L before the Flyers game happened, too. So maybe that didn't intrigue too many Philadelphia fans to want to watch this game. But I don't know if, they brought back a guy that they were familiar with, but they didn't bring a new guy in that was like, I have to watch this guy, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, on the totem pole, I think Philadelphia alone, I think maybe I'm just saying this as an outsider, but I feel like maybe the Flyers are third, borderline fourth as a team that's viewed here in Philadelphia, but that's just me seeing it as an outsider position. I don't know how fans feel, because I would definitely put Sixers and Eagles. Eagles number one, I feel like has to be the number one team in Philadelphia.
Always, yes.
But I would say Sixers two. I would go more of the Flyers as a 3 and then Phillies as a 4. But, you being a 4 for 4, you could tell me what you feel. I know you're more into baseball than you are hockey, but that's just the way I'm seeing it now. But, that could be a big thing too. There's not as many hockey fans as there are other sports fans. But then again, like you said, the real question is why isn't there so much hype? But, like I said, I think it has to be with the fact that it was the same team. Nothing really happened. They were coming off of a playoff season, but not a good playoff season. You know what I'm saying? Like they were done in the first round kind of team. Like I said, they bring back a guy that was already on this team once before. So
Okay. Mr. Daly?
I don't think it has anything to do with the Flyers. I think the reason why there wasn't much hype around is because, one, you have the Eagles right now, and they're coming off a Super Bowl win, so you got all the hype there. And you have the hype going into the Sixers. The Sixers are a young team. The Sixers they're expecting them to take the next step. They're the next level
absolutely
basketball team, and the Flyers are kind of being left here in the dust because Flyers are just another rebuild year. Sixers aren't. People see the Sixers as a team that's ready to win now. Obviously, they're off to a slow start, but
as Tom
hype
pointed
is
out,
between
that's
those
where
two
they were
teams.
last year too. So and we said the same thing. The Flyers were off to a slow start as they've been consistently for multiple years. They start off slow and off pretty solid. They're a streaky team, and they haven't caught that streak yet. But it's what streak are they gonna be? We saw bad streaks of them last year, and we saw very good streaks of them last year.
Yep.
So
we'll
have to see.
The hype with the Eagles is what it is, defending Super Bowl champs. With the Sixers, you got what step is JoJo going to take this year? Ben Simmons, is he going to find a shot this year? Same thing with Markelle Fultz. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of drama around these guys. There's really no drama for the Flyers this year. Aside from
Gritty.
Well, yeah.
Gritty.
I wasn't going to go there, but I was going to say more like Carter Hart.
Yeah.
Does he make the team? Does he not make the team? Like, other than that, where's that draw? Why am I going to want to watch the Flyers this year? Aside from being a hockey guy. Like, why? Why? What's going to draw fans to the Flyers this
Yeah.
year?
But are they watching the game for the Flyers? Are they watching it to see Gritty on the ice now? That's, is
I
that
mean, that's a fair question.
it is though. I mean, right now the team's struggling, and obviously Gritty's a mascot that's been lifting the spirits of fans.
Mm-hmm.
So, they watching the games now for him as a laugh, or I mean, Maddie, you're the guy. This is why we're here. So, what do you got?
3 things. First, they don't have a big name talent. Claude Giroux is a talented player, and he's the current best player the Flyers have.
Mm-hmm.
And yes,
Agree.
he did just have 100 points, and he is one of the most all-time, I believe, in the assist department for the Flyers now. I think he's number 3, with the possibility of catching Prop. I don't think he's not gonna catch Clark, but he has the ability to. Point is that they don't have a superstar. The last superstar the Flyers had was Eric Lindros, and that put eyes on the Flyers big time. It didn't pan out for the Flyers to win a cup, but the Flyers were very much looked at during that time period when the Legion of Doom was the hottest thing in the East for a period of time and seemed to be unstoppable. However, they would find themselves very stoppable. That's one of the major factors. They lack a superstar currently right now to really get the fans interested. And yeah, Shane Gostisbehere is a great acquisition the Flyers got. But he's not an offensive. He's an offensive defenseman at times, but at the same time too, he's working on his defensive aspects and trying to step up to be a leader.
Yeah, the thing is, you're not going to a game to see him.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah,
It
I
wasn't
gotcha.
like Lindros. Lindros, you went to the game to see Lindros. Even when the team sucked when he first got on the team, people wanted to see Lindros. He was the rebirth of the Flyers was through him. And they don't have that right now.
Yeah.
And that's because the Flyers went on that long skid of making the playoffs. And then they went on that skid of wheeling and dealing and then eventually had that collapse in 2007. They didn't get a superstar in that following draft. They got Claude Giroux. However, though, no, I don't hate that. I'm very happy we got Claude Giroux. I don't want anybody to think that I hate Claude Giroux for not calling him a superstar. It's not the worst thing in the world that he's not a superstar. If anything, he's still a great player, and I still very much enjoy him on this team. But he's not a superstar, and that's why that kills them. Secondly, hockey is the fourth sport in Philadelphia. There's no getting around it. I would like to say that it could compete with the other 3 teams. It can't. The Phillies have been around for hundreds of years, or for 100 years or some odd. They've been around for so long that it's a staple of Philadelphia that the Phillies are here, and they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The Eagles are the Eagles. Usually in any city, your football team is your number 1 team. Usually, unless they are that shitty. And the Eagles now are not that shitty. So they are definitely the number 1 team in Philadelphia. The Sixers are on the rise, and they're on the rise a lot faster than the Flyers are. And they also have 2 superstar talents right now that are just taking things and putting it at a higher degree. Also, we have to remember, too, that with the popularity of the sport in general, you're not necessarily going to have as much, what's the word for it, as much exposure to the Flyers as you would the Sixers.
Yeah, well, it's not force-fed to ESPN where, people are watching that. They don't show hockey on networks like that. So that's a big problem with this sport that, Bettman needs to work out. And obviously it's almost too late because NBA's talked about year-round. NFL's talked about year-round. Baseball's talked about year-round. Hockey's talked about in September. That's when we start talking about hockey, when preseason starts, and that's the big problem. It's not projected in a way like these sports are talked about, and that's the big problem. And it doesn't just go for the Flyers; it goes for all the teams in the NHL. I mean, obviously, there's some teams, not trying to say it, but the Penguins, the Capitals coming off of a Stanley Cup. You have John Tavares that's now playing with Austin Matthews in Toronto, where you have a few teams out there that are like, okay, I have to watch these guys. But, for the rest of the NHL, it's hard because they're just not advertised like the other 3 major sports here in America. So
The marketing is definitely worse for the NHL than it is the other sports, but I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that NHL needs ESPN. Like ESPN's
But where else are you
Well-
going to watch hockey, though? You only watch hockey on NHL Network.
To be fair, though,
NBC.
NBC.
Not everybody has ESPN.
Not
but
everybody
every-
has that NBC channel, though. That's the problem. If you have
It
basic
doesn't
cable,
necessarily need to be NBCSN,
You're
but it's just
screwed.
NBC in general.
I mean, to be fair, though, they have actually done a pretty good job of using NBC as a platform
Oh,
to
yeah,
reestablish
but
itself
it's-
and get a footing again. And I don't think that that's a bad thing that they're on the NBC, really. I think, honestly, it was really bad when they had to go to OLN, which was the outdoor channel, because that was the only one that was covering them at that time,
yeah.
which eventually became Versus. That was
Versus,
really
yeah.
that was really the dark period for the NHL because NBC was just starting to think about broadcasting the NHL, and they carried the playoffs, but that was
Yeah.
they only carried certain games in the Stanley Cup
Yeah.
Finals. But even Versus covered the Stanley Cup Finals. I think, if I stand correct, in 2010, the Flyers and the Blackhawks, the final game was covered on Versus.
Yeah.
It wasn't done. It was
It
on
was
the
NBC.
Okay,
Have you ever
well,
heard
we
of
had
Versus?
the local blackout,
Okay.
so
Shit. I was
Well,
hoping
we
that
had
was
the
my
local
childhood.
blackout.
That was
so
my
that's why I
childhood.
didn't
I was
see
hoping you were
that.
going to say no.
But
No, that was
point
my
is,
childhood.
Okay.
point is, though, is that once they started getting their footing with NBC, things changed a little bit there for them. Now they're back on that national platform a little bit. Really, their dark days was when they really lost ESPN and they went and they had to make Versus really their channel.
Yeah.
And it was for a good 3-4 years there. It was their channel. Since then, though, I don't really think it's been bad that they're on NBC. I
No,
think
I
that
don't think
it
it's
gives
bad
them
either.
a fair opportunity to get viewed.
But
again, I
they're
think
just not as exposed, and that's the problem.
But what I think it goes back to is it also goes back to the demographic of U.S. Canada.
Yeah.
Canada is hockey. The U.S. is everything else.
Yeah.
The United States is all about. Well, look at this.
Yeah, I mean, if we're
Yeah.
sitting in Canada, we're talking about
About
why
hockey,
isn't football expressed this much here?
Yeah.
You know?
But meanwhile, they had the CFL up there.
Yeah,
To me,
well,
Matty-
that's a shit league compared to what we have.
To me,
so.
Matty, there's two things, and I'm glad I asked you guys because a lot of what you guys said I agree with, to be honest. I'll go a step deeper though. When you just talk about our Flyers, okay, and I agree completely with what you talk about, the marketing of the game. Well, I'll just talk about that for a moment. I think the NHL is in a similar spot, in a similar predicament as the MLB. When you talk about stars, marketing stars, the MLB really doesn't have any. They have Trout, Harper. They really don't even talk about Judge that much.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's really
Machado.
Machado to a degree.
Yeah. I mean, they don't talk about that. They should expose those
Yes.
guys more, like a Mookie Betts, who
Yeah, but
You
not all those
wouldn't
guys
think is-
want that exposure either. You got to think about that
they
too.
don't, but they, in a way, think about how exposed though a guy like LeBron James is.
Yes.
If a Sidney Crosby or a Connor McDavid was exposed like that, the hockey would be on a different level.
Well, let me ask you this,
know?
Brett. Why is the NBA so successful today? Why?
It's just marketing players like LeBron.
Exactly. Well, not just LeBron.
But everybody.
I can make
Yeah,
an argument, and it's real, that the part of the NBA year that's most exciting is not even when they're playing. It's
Yeah.
the off season.
Mhm.
That is when they really get most talked about, which is crazy, but
Yeah.
it's true. When you just talk about the Philadelphia Flyers, I agree with a lot with what you guys said. I'll take you back to, let's say, 4 years ago, okay? This city was in a period where the Sixers were at the beginning of their process. They sucked. They
Oh,
knew
they're
it.
horrible.
They did it on
Well,
purpose.
they had 14
did
wins that
not-
season.
Yes, they did not have a product,
Yep.
so no excitement is going to go towards them. Out. Phillies, they were not even at the beginning of their rebuild. They were still stubborn enough to say they weren't in a rebuild.
Yeah.
They were not relating to their audience because every member of their audience that watched the games knew we can't win with this team. These are old guys from the 2008 era. So the excitement towards that team was gone because they knew there was no shot of winning with them. The Eagles, who, yes, we know is the number one team in the city, we did not have a game plan because
Chip Kelly era.
the Chip Kelly era,
Yeah.
and that was right at the tail end of it when our quarterback sucked, Sam Bradford. Even we knew Nick Foles was limited.
I
at the
could tell
time.
you Sam Bradford, his agent is the best agent in the world
Yes,
because he
he
is the
is.
richest quarterback for doing absolutely nothing.
So in that era where the 3 teams out of the 4 had no direction, no excitement towards them, this city needed the Flyers.
Yeah.
Because the Flyers were making the playoff push every year. Now,
Absolutely.
we knew the Flyers were probably going to go into the playoffs, just squeak in and lose, but still, we could say, hey, Philadelphia, playoff series. We had that. We had urgency. And this is sad to say, but in this true moment right now where the Eagles are Super Bowl champions, they're playing. The Phillies, there's more talks about how bad they are and the wrong directions they're going in, but that's still a storyline. And the Sixers, they have 2 of the most exciting young players in the NBA, which, if they're not winning, they still have relatable stars. The city does not need the Flyers like they used to. The fans are still there. We do not ignore the Flyers, but especially when you put on top of that how the Flyers don't have any real stars to relate to other than Giroux, but we know Giroux, while we have him, we're still limited because we've had him for years. We had him back in 2010. We know, hey, we can still have him, but it doesn't mean we're going to win anything. I think there's frustration with the GM. There's frustration with not having a goalie for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So with all that build up, that's what leads to a lack of excitement. But I believe the Flyers fans will come out once there's a playoff series again, because the only way to change your spot in the totem pole when it comes to being 1, 2, 3, or 4, it's by winning a championship.
Yep.
The Phillies should be 4, but because they have the second most recent championship, they will always be ahead of the Flyers because of that.
Well, and I think
But
we
what-
looked at go ahead.
But what's funny about that is, you go to a game, that arena is never empty.
No,
No.
yeah,
People still pay to go see this team. They paid to go see this team last year. They paid to go see them the year before that. That the fan base is here.
it's absolutely, it's here.
It's not going anywhere.
No, it's not, and
But
no,
the
go
it-
ahead.
excitement
it's-
in
it's-
those games.
It's a draw.
Yeah.
There's no draw.
Well-
and I agree with that completely.
I don't necessarily agree there's no draw, but I went to 3 games last year. And last year's different than this year. I understand that. But when I was at each of those games, and there were games where they were winning, the buzz was not there.
Yeah.
It's left the building because we know, hey, that's a great goal, that's a great win. What does it mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
I think also, and the final thing I was going to point out is the lack of rapid progress. And that's the other thing, too, is that Philadelphia fans, they can be the most loving fans. They can be the most fickle and unfair fans. And if you're not making rapid progress, you are immediately shunned. Because that's the thing. It is, for most fans, it's cup or bust if you make the playoffs. If you don't make the Stanley Cup finals or you don't even win the cup, then you fucking failed. Or if you're a team like the Phillies, if you don't make the playoffs or win a division, then you ain't shit. If you're the Eagles, if you don't even get to the Super Bowl, then you're just another shitty team that we've backed and that can't get the job done. That was the trend that Philadelphia fans carried with them with these teams. Unfortunately, I think the same problem hits the Flyers, where it's just like, again, the Flyers, their process is very slow. But that's because the Flyers did what most Philadelphia fans like to see. You make a big splash in the offseason. You put together a team that's built to win now. You try and go for the gold in the playoffs. You get beat in the playoffs. You try to do the same thing, rinse and repeat. Now that whole cycle has been broken, and the idea of we're actually going to nurse young talent, we're going to bring up young talent, we're going to make that young talent our own, and we're going to indoctrinate the system into that young talent, I think that is what is killing a lot of that buzz because Philadelphia fans aren't used to it. They're really not. Most Philadelphia fans are used to the Flyers going out and saying, hey, we just went and got Vinny LeCavier. He didn't do shit for us when we got him, but we went and got Vinny LeCavier. We also went, we can even go back a little bit further than that. We went and got guys like Jeremy Roenick, who were well past the prime of their career. Didn't have a bad 3 years in Philly, but we still went and got Jeremy Roenick. Like, Okay, why did we go get Jeremy Roenick? Because he's fucking Jeremy Roenick. That's why. Why did we go get Tony Amonte? Because he's Tony Amonte. Why did we go Peter Forsberg? Because he's Peter Forsberg. All of these names coming up, like, and one that you'll remember. Why did we go get Chris Pronger? Because he's fucking Chris Pronger. That's why.
Because at the time he was a defensive monster.
He was, but not to say that there was play that was lacking from him, because there wasn't. All these guys played well for the Flyers. But the thing was, they were established stars. They were big names. They were from other cities, but they were big names. And it brought people attracted to the Flyers immediately. It got people saying, oh, yeah, man, we just got Pronger. This team's going to kick ass this year.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, they did have some young talent with it, with a Mike Richards, Jeff Carter, and such like that. The point being is that I think Philadelphia fans, they're not used to that cycle being broken. They're not used to the idea of we are going to nurse the young talent and we're going to build it up in Philadelphia. They're used to seeing the big splash every single offseason. They didn't really get that this year. They haven't gotten it in 4 or 5 years. And fans are questioning, maybe this isn't the right avenue for us. That is not the right theory, because you have to get younger in this NHL and you have to get faster in this NHL. You can't be a bruiser like you used to be. And you can't rely.
That's just the way the game is.
And you
now.
can't rely on veteran talent to completely make your team complete, because the Flyers tried that. And you want to know what happened? 2007. That's all I have to say about that. 2007 is what happened. You don't want that again.
I would love that
Christ's
again.
9-1.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Murray let up a goal with 1.5 minutes left. Son of a bitch.
He had a surefire shutout. But anyway.
I'll take 2007 again.
He actually put 38 saves right now. So
Well, it may
it's
have
a hell
been
of a
different in
game.
your light, but it was totally
I'll
different
take
in mine.
2007 any day of the year.
But-
any year.
Oh, that was a good year.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway,
a great year.
yeah. Anyway, so with that all being said, though, that was the Hockey Happy Hour here on A2DRadio.com. Once again, we thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you again next Thursday on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. From all of us here, I'm Matt Tsutsuti. This is the Penguin Lover, Michael Kleinkoff.
Yep.
Right over there is the Darkwing Brian Daly, sporting his awesome new Anaheim Ducks jersey.
Love it.
And behind the
too.
board is the sign guy himself, Mr.
There
Ryan
he is.
Brodo. We thank you all for joining us for the Hockey Happy Hour, which was brought to you by Gibson Mare LLC and also Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Give them a call 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. We will see you all next week right here on A2DRadio.com. Peace out, everybody.
See you.